Welcome back, you guys. I am so excited for this video to come out because it is about ballet, and who doesn't love ballet? Come on. And if you know Barbie, you would know that she has had a great deal of ballet throughout her lifetime. And when we talk about classic ballet, you would be living under a rock if you don't know about Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake. Now, I love Barbie's adaptation of Swan Lake simply because the colors are beautiful, the landscape is gorgeous, and also Odette gets to live by the end of the movie, so what's not to like? I love the doll that Mattel came out with for Swan Lake. I simply love it. She's gorgeous, she's really beautiful, and I was really lucky to find her a couple of years ago at a thrift store. But I always wondered what would it be like if certain things were different in Odette's character design or her dress specifically. So we're at a point where I make doll dresses, so I'm like, why not I try making that dress and changing the certain things that I sometimes think about. So today I will redesign her classic movie dress, sew it, customize a doll, and share it with you guys. So let's go. So Odette's dress from the movie is beautifully designed. I love the bust area especially. The skirt feathers are of course classic Swan Lake. But what I've always wondered is what if this dress does not have as much pink as it has. I know the dolls are directed towards kids and the colorful aesthetic therefore, but for me I see pink mostly in the crystal that she pulls, so I wanted to see where I can incorporate that into my design. And this is Pixie. She was like not in the mood to be ignored this time. She wanted all the attention she could get, so she came on the table, literally sat on top of the page that I was drawing on, and was like, I ain't letting you draw anything, you know, today you're gonna pet me. So that's what I did. Anyhow, I decided to incorporate the crystal and place it on the bust area, the inspiration of which is coming from the dress designs that I've been obsessed with lately. They're from Paolo Sebastian 2425 couture collection called A Lover's Kiss. There are pieces in this collection that have tiny red hearts on lighter colored fabrics, and that has been fascinating me ever since I saw these pictures. So for Odette, the main element that got her to become a swan in the movie was that pink crystal, and so I wanted to place that crystal on her dress prominently. And then on the surrounding area, I've decided to put lines as if there are lines coming out of the crystal as light rays, and I'm not sure about the material yet, but we'll find out. I'll be using this thrifted Ballet Wishes doll. I love the Ballet Wishes doll line, by the way. I like the face-up style, but I won't be using it because one, it's pixelated, and two, the dark waterline is a no-no for me. So I'll repaint her face as well and give her some new hair. So for the color palette and fabrics, I've got a very pale blue tulle, white tulle, ice blue organza, and a pale blue satin to work with. For the bodice, I'll place tulle at the back with the help of water-soluble fabric. I don't need to do this, but it has become a part of my process for bodices especially. I'll put a gathering stitch on the two layers of tulle first by hand, gather it, and then place it onto the satin piece. I'm doing this because the tulle pieces are longer in length than the satin. Then I'll put both the satin and tulle pieces together and sew them. So I've decided to use cut pipe beads for those lines surrounding the crystal that I was talking about on the bodice. I'm gonna be using pale blue and white so that I also stay inside the color palette. The only pink on the dress shall be the crystal, which will definitely elevate its importance. At first, I decided to place 3 size variations of the feathers on the skirt, but then it felt like too much was going on since the length of the skirt is not similar to the original design, so I'll be using just 2 sizes. I'll attach 2 layers of organza with water soluble fabric and cut the feather shapes out of it. I planned to hand finish the edges on these feathers, but ended up not doing it since I tried one and it looked so heavy and very off-putting for the overall lighter design, so I burned the edges with a lighter and it worked out perfectly. I used metallic silver thread and white silk thread for the details of the feathers. I wanted the top layers of the feathers to be slightly different from the bottom layer of feathers, so I decided to place some same cut pipe beads on the top layer to distinguish between the top and the bottom layer. For the arm cuffs, I attached 2 smaller feathers of the same material. The original design has vertical feathers and they're loosely defined. I wanted mine to have more definition, so I plan to put 2 and make them slightly bigger than the original. I also placed some fur on the underside of the cuffs to add some variation of material, but not making it way too obvious as well. I couldn't help but notice that the feathers without the cut beads that was the underlayer looked a bit too plain, but I couldn't figure out what to do since I didn't want to introduce extra material into the design, which would have seemed distracting. Luckily, I had some white rhinestones that I bought a while ago. I just placed these just to see how it would look, and oh my gosh, they looked perfect. It felt like the missing puzzle piece, so I decided to add them to both the arm cuffs and the skirt feathers. They looked like water droplets on feathers and the colors were matching perfectly. And also later in the process, I added these dangly bits to the arm cuffs because I just felt a little extra and I was like, I'll just do it. And this is how they'll look. so exciting. Now I will prep the doll for her face paint appointment. I washed the body off camera with dish soap and soda. I will remove her paint with nail polish remover since I just can't get my hands on pure acetone, you know, but this also works like a charm. Okay, so the needle method is the method that I use to rehair the entire hairline and part line. I used to use the rooting tool entirely on the head, but I had ripped some of my heads in the past, so better safe than sorry. I could be more protective with the re-rooting tool, but I find that the needle works beautifully, so I take the pain of gluing the top of each hair plug since I don't knot it on the inside, because that also seems a bit too risky for me. I don't know, I just have some kind of OCD or whatnot. I just can't think but stay safe. I keep the parting line hair tied up separately as I've experienced messy hair when the process finishes, and if you know me by now, you know that I don't like that. So for the drawing part, I make sure that the face is super clean, and sometimes I've even scratched faces, rubbing them too hard with baking soda, you know, overthinker problems. So then I draw with a 3H pencil. I rub the mistakes with just some plain water dipped Q-tips. I want a very classic sort of Mackie look for her, slightly more towards the cooler side, of course. I usually work with applying multiple thin down layers of acrylic paints. So my preference for my doll face-ups is trying not to use too many colors, trying to keep it more minimal. That's something that I really love. I know most people might find this plain and unattractive, but I really love simpler, minimal looking sort of doll faces. It's kind of, you know, in couture where you have the faces where they're very natural, but then they're like too high fashion as well at the same time. I personally am a fan of that. I personally love monochromatic makeup looks where there is variation in tone and not color, and when it's not monochromatic, there can be a statement piece, whether it be the lips, the eyes, or maybe even the blush. One of the three can be totally a statement piece in the makeup look. It can look really, you know, high fashion sort of. That is something that I really like. Some people might not like this very simple makeup look for doll repaints, but it also depends on the particular project as well. So, you know, it's never always the same, but that's just kind of my preference. But okay, well, anyhow, I'm going with the classic pink eyeshadow for this girl. I mixed some silver mica powder into the paint because I wanted sort of a frosty shine throughout her face, so I added it to both the eyes and the lips. The lips I also went with a very light, natural, shimmery pink, and I love it for this girl. The tiara was simple. I used the same faux fur and 3 rhinestones on a silver wire. Okay, so this is my first time making ballet slippers, and I love ballet slippers. I was trying not to be too hard on myself if it comes out not so good, but thankfully the dedication paid off. I went with this lightest pink just to have the color travel full circle in her design, and also to keep the original ballet element as well. Okay, so this was a journey. I love ballet, I love Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake, and of course I love Barbie, you do as well. I really hope you enjoyed the process and also like the end result, the redesign. Share your thoughts in the comments if you can. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you very soon in my next one. With that said, peace.